Okay, now that we got it dry, what we're going to do is we're going to choose, since I left off with 1500 grit, what we're going to do is choose our compound. And the compound, there are a number of them, and just because the bottle says 3M doesn't mean that you have to use 3M. You can use any kind of rubbing compound as long as it's to start off with, a relatively coarse compound. The coarse compound, what I have here now, is Perfect Cut. It's actually Perfect Cut 3. It's made by the makers of 3M. It really does a good job. I've used it for years. There are other ones also that I've used. They just, just takes a little bit longer to cut through the dullness and make it shine. So what we're going to start off with, what I'm going to show you here, is Perfect Cut 3. It's a white compound. It's not as coarse as what they have here, the Perfect Cut, or Perfect Cut 2. This is a more coarse compound. This is more or less a lighter compound, and then you got your glazing, what you use for getting swirls out and things of that nature. We'll go over all that, but the first thing I want to go over here is your difference in pads. These make a difference, and keeping them clean also will save you a lot of time. What you want to do is start out with a white pad. Now these have Velcro on them. You don't have to get this type. These are the more expensive type. Actually, the foam is more expensive, but we're doing it the poor man's way, so this is what we're going to use. What I've got here is just it's like a Velcro. It sticks on the buffer. It's like this. Shove it on there real good. Make sure it's nice and tight. Alright, that's good for that. That'll work. Now, what I'm using here, this is a Makita. It's a pretty good, decent one. I got a Milwaukee too. That works really good. This particular one I use because it's lighter weight, and my arm don't break as much as when I'm using this. But you can use a Milwaukee. You can use even your $30 generic one that you'd buy anywhere. The main thing you want to do is make sure that the surface is clean, both surfaces. So we're going to start off with the white buffing pad. Keep in mind the yellow is for more or less glazing and taking swirls out and things of that nature. At least that's what it's described in the industry as doing. So what we're going to do is start off with this, and we're going to start off with a Perfect Cut because I did take that down to 1500. Now if I would have left off taking it down to say 1000 grit or something of that nature, yeah, I would have come off with the big boy here and tried to cut it even quicker. But since I know the cut isn't going to take as much, we'll start off with this Perfect Cut 3. Alright, psych, I'm not going to do it just yet. Hang on just a second. These are tack cloths. Normally they're used for before you clear coat, before you paint, things of that nature. It takes off dust, debris, and things like that. They cost about $1. What we're going to do, now I've seen a lot of guys in shops just take this like this, throw it up there and wipe something up. It's not really considered how it's done. In the years that I've been doing this, what you want to do is you want to fluff your tack rag out like this. Just fluff it out a little bit. Lay it down on there. Now what this is doing, it's going to ensure me that for sure there is no dirt that I'm going to be grinding into the paint while I'm buffing this out. Didn't take off much, but that's alright. I know that there's microscopic dirt there that this took off that's not going to interfere with my buff. And this is it. Just spread a little of this on. And it's been used quite a bit. Nozzle's clogged. It's up to you how much you want to use. My suggestion would be use enough that you know you're not going to burn it. And you can do this with either the buffing pad or a rag or something of that nature. What I would suggest, if you're doing this, do just a 2 to 3 square foot section at a time, because you really don't want to bite off more than you can chew at one time, and it does get overwhelming. So if you're doing it on your personal car or something like that, hey, do a fender in a door one day and come back the next day. That's, you know, just keeping it in perspective with everything else. But now, this particular machine, and some of them are not, but this particular machine right here, it's a versatile speed. So it's going to, as I squeeze the trigger, it is going to move slow, fast, whatever. Some of them are not like that. If you have one that's just a single speed buffer, what I would suggest doing is starting off up here and coming down on it. Okay. Now what you're going to see me do is I'm going to go ahead and get this done real quick, and basically you can watch my rhythm and how I go over it and getting it done. And keep in mind, keep your tape on the edges, because those are the first high points and the low points that will burn. And when you burn something, it's really, really hard to go back and try and recover from that burn.
What do you mean by burn?
Well, this clear coat, in essence, is only put on so many mils thick, if that. And it depends on what shop it comes out of, or if it's coming out of the factory and it's a baked on finish, it's pretty well thick. But burn, what I mean is, if I were to take this tape off and I was buffing this out, and I would come over the edge like this because it's a little dull over here on the edge, well, what I would do is, by going over this edge right here, this buffer is going in this direction, it's going to slap right into that high point right there. And what that's going to do is create a burn. And what I mean by that is it could either, it does paint damage. So, and that's what you really don't want. So by putting a 1/4 inch piece of tape, or even a 1/2 inch piece of tape over this, after you pull the tape, you can easily go over it by hand and polish that out by hand, so that you don't have to worry about the buffer burning the high and the low points on your automobile. Anyway, we'll get started here and we'll see what it looks like. And that is how they get a show car shine. That's when you go to these rod get-togethers and you go to Cavalcated Wheels. I don't know where you might go and see this, but this is how they do it. There's no tricks, no secrets. It's plain English, just like this. They keep polishing and shining. And another thing, I've noticed I got this a little warm, but that's fine. As long as you don't stay in one spot and keep grinding that one spot down, you're fine. Just move on to the next spot, and you don't want to really have any dry spots like this here. I don't want to go over that again without putting more polish down. This stuff up here I want to hit, and I can smear it back into this spot if I still see some scratches or some light debris or something of that nature. I can still drag polish from this area and bring it back down. Now you just got to, basically you got a glass finish, and that's what everybody wants on their car today. A glass mirror-like finish. Now this is a gold, so outside, it's going to make a difference. But your darker colors, your darker pigments like black, dark blue, dark red, it's going to bring the oxidation out of the paint as well as give it a very mirror-like shine. And while we're on this particular subject, I'd like you to look at this scratch right here, because not only can you take and make a show car shine, but it's say you got some scratches in your car, you can just do a little section at a time. It's not going to matter. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the scratch off the hood.